Picture this: you're an important Roman senator, one of the most respected men in the empire. Your family name goes back many generations, your special robe shows your high rank, and you've spent many years serving Rome with honor. Tonight, you got a golden invitation to eat dinner with the emperor himself, an honor that should make you proud. But as you walk up the marble steps of the palace on Palatine Hill, your stomach feels sick with fear. The guards at the door won't look at you, they know what you're walking into, and their silence says everything. The smell of expensive perfume can't hide something else: fear, thick and choking in the air. You enter the great hall where dozens of Rome's powerful people are already there: senators, their wives, rich merchants, army commanders, all standing in uncomfortable silence. Then you hear it, the sound of footsteps echoing through the hallway, along with crazy laughter that makes your blood turn cold. Emperor Caligula enters, dressed in silk that shines like liquid gold, his eyes bright with a scary look. He looks at the room like a hunter studying his prey, then claps his hands together with fake joy. "My dear friends," he says, his voice bouncing off the marble walls, "tonight we will find out who among you truly loves your emperor. Tonight we will see just how far you'll go to prove you're loyal. To understand how the most powerful man in the world could turn his palace into a place of sexual evil and mind torture, you must understand how Caligula became emperor in the first place. Born Gaius Julius Caesar Augustus Germanicus in 12 CE, he got his nickname, Caligula, meaning little boots, as a child when he went with his father on army trips, dressed in tiny soldier clothes that the armies loved. But childhood for a member of the royal family was anything but safe. By age 7, Caligula had seen his father's strange death, possibly by poison ordered by Emperor Tiberius. He watched his mother Agrippina and his brothers disappear into exile, prison, and finally death, victims of the paranoid games of royal politics. Imagine being a child and knowing that at any moment, someone knocking on your door might mean your death. Caligula learned to survive in a world where showing weakness meant death, where trust was something no one could afford. He became a master of lying, acting harmless while his family was killed around him. When Tiberius finally died in 37 CE, the Roman people welcomed 24-year-old Caligula as emperor with real joy. Here was the son of their beloved Germanicus, the boy who had once charmed the armies. Rome had suffered under the paranoid, hidden Tiberius for decades. They were ready for someone young, someone who promised to bring back the glory days. For 7 months, Caligula seemed to be everything they had hoped for. He brought back political prisoners, gave big bonuses to his guards, and held amazing public games. The people loved him. But then something changed, something that would turn the royal palace from a place of government into a playground for the emperor's most twisted sexual games. In late 37 CE, Caligula became seriously sick with what old sources describe as a brain fever so bad that it stopped the empire. For days he was between life and death while Rome held its breath, praying for their young emperor to get better. Some historians believe this sickness caused permanent brain damage, while others argue it simply took away the thin layer of sanity that had been holding back his darker urges. When Caligula recovered, those closest to him noticed the change right away. The young man who had once shown control and political wisdom was gone. In his place stood someone who seemed to have lost all connection to reality, all sense of limits between what was holy and evil, acceptable and unthinkable. The palace workers were the first to see Caligula's change. Servants who had served the royal family for years suddenly found themselves facing the emperor's strange demands and sexual abuse. Young male slaves were especially at risk. Caligula would call them to his private rooms and force them to do things that went against every Roman value. But it was the female servants who suffered most. Old sources, written in the careful language of their time, describe how the emperor would walk the palace halls at night, picking women randomly to satisfy his desires. These weren't willing meetings, they were acts of pure control designed to show Caligula's total power over everyone in his palace. What made Caligula's change of the palace especially horrible wasn't just the sexual abuse itself, it was how carefully he used sex as a weapon to destroy the Roman social order. He understood that by forcing the empire's most respected citizens to take part in or watch acts of sexual shame, he could break their spirits more completely than any torture. The emperor began hosting fancy dinner parties that started as normal social gatherings but always turned into orgies. He would invite senators along with their wives and daughters, at first keeping up the act of civilized fun. But as the evening went on, the emperor would begin making more and more inappropriate demands. "Senator Marcus," Caligula might say, his voice sounding as casual as someone asking for more wine, "your wife has such beautiful eyes. I wonder what they would look like when she's on her knees before me. The senator would be forced to sit quietly, knowing that any protest would mean his family's death. Meanwhile, his wife would be forced to do whatever sexual act the emperor demanded, often while her husband and children watched in horror. The mental damage to these families was often permanent: marriages destroyed, children traumatized, proud Roman bloodlines turned into tools for the emperor's sick pleasure. The royal palace complex on Palatine Hill was changed to fit Caligula's increasingly elaborate sexual fantasies. He ordered special rooms designed just for group sexual activities, complete with elaborate staging and viewing areas. Ancient building pieces suggest rooms where normal furniture was replaced with couches arranged in circles, allowing for maximum visibility from multiple angles. One room, according to surviving accounts, was designed like a small arena with raised seating around a central area where the emperor would stage sexual performances. He would force captured enemies, slaves, and sometimes even Roman citizens to engage in various sexual acts while audiences of senators and their families were forced to watch and clap. Perhaps most shocking was how Caligula mixed sexual shame into the religious and political ceremonies that formed the backbone of Roman civilization. Traditional rituals that had been performed with serious dignity for centuries were turned into opportunities for sexual humiliation. During formal Senate meetings, the emperor would sometimes demand that senators' wives perform sexual services while their husbands conducted official business. By 40 CE, Caligula's sexual crimes had reached levels that shocked even those who had seen his earlier evil acts. The breaking point came when Caligula announced his plan to make his sexual practices the official religion of the empire, requiring all Roman citizens to take part in sexual rituals as proof of loyalty. On January 24, 41 CE, Caligula was killed by members of his own guard in the underground passages of his own palace. But even in death, the emperor's sexual crimes continued to terrorize their victims. The plot included not just political reasons but personal ones. Several of the killers had been forced to watch their own family members suffer the emperor's sexual abuse. Today, tourists walk through the ruins of Palatine Hill, looking at the remains of royal greatness without fully understanding the horrors that once happened within these crumbling walls. The palace may be ruins now, but its lessons continue. The systematic sexual abuse of the weak by those in positions of power isn't a relic of ancient barbarism, it's a pattern that repeats itself whenever human beings are given absolute power over others and choose to use it for evil. Caligula's transformation of his palace into a theater of sexual horror lasted less than 4 years, but its impact echoed through Roman history and continues to affect us today. His legacy is written not in marble monuments or bronze inscriptions, but in the mental scars passed down through generations of victims, a reminder that the worst crimes are often those that destroy not just bodies, but souls.